day 43 of using Vinted to sell the old stuff that got me started in reselling. Now, it's going to be a good episode today, I think, because we've got a lot to go through. It's day 43, like I said, and it's Friday, so we're going to give a balance update. However, there's a few things I want to talk about first. So I've got like a customer example first, then we're going to go through orders, then the balance update, and then what we're listing today, which is a mixture of 10 figures and 10 comics. But first, I want to show you this book. So it's called Patagonia. It's called Tools for Grassroots Activists by a company called Patagonia. Now, if you don't know who Patagonia are, for me, they're probably one of the leading companies when it comes to fashion for being ethical and still a global brand. But I read this book like 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, and it's basically, it says best practices for success in the environmental movement. But it is something I'm passionate about, but there is also a lot to be taken away from this that you can apply to business. And I want to share with you that one of these things today, because there's a customer example that happened yesterday, and yeah, I just want to share that with you. So page 31. So it says we can get better at talking about the issues we care about. So obviously I care about my business, and it's very easy for me to always be thinking with a business head on, and not looking at it from a customer perspective. So it says, and it's so simple, but it's something that can be applied to anything you do, like literally anything. And it says, talk to people where they are at, not where you're at. And yeah, super simple, but I think that can be applied to almost anything you do in life. Because say sometimes you might be discussing a passion, something that you're passionate about, but somebody might not have any knowledge on that, and so it's your job to basically teach them and just let them know. So yesterday, as an example, we had a customer message and they were interested in some of the comics, and they said, let's see, hi, I'm a Marvel comic collector and I'm interested in some of the comics you have listed. I'm wondering if you would be willing to sell these 10 at £5 in the photo. And then they've basically screenshotted different comics from different listings and bundled them so it's all together, and asking me if I can basically rejig it and do them 10 for £5. Now, with a business head on, it's just not possible to do that, because the work involved, it involved me pulling out all the listings I've already done, taking new photos, then rebundling up the ones that haven't sold, taking photos of them again. So it just doesn't make sense for me. Like, sometimes I will do it if a customer, I've done it recently on eBay I had like a set of 9 Manchester United football figures for £60 or something, and they offered me like nearly £30 on one figure. So that's 100% worth my time. Like, I'm willing to do that. But if we're doing it for the same price, it isn't worth like my time and effort. Now, me personally, and I've seen it, I feel like there are people out there that do say reselling, buying and selling, dealing, whatever you call it, that just ignore those messages. But I do always try and follow the rule that, like, I've literally followed this rule since I've read it, and it's, even though obviously it doesn't apply to me and it's not something I want to do, it's my job to let them know why I don't want to do that. So I then basically said to them, let's have a look. I said, if I was selling these for a high price, I'd put the work in, but they are literally going for nothing. It would take like 45 minutes for me to do that, and I can't justify the amount of work for £5. And then the person's like so polite, and I am glad I was just honest with them, because we had a really good chat after. But by doing that and like just explaining to the person why it doesn't make sense for me to do that, it still ended up resulting in a sale. So happy days. The person didn't end up buying as many bundles as they wanted, but they still ended up buying 2 bundles, and yeah, we got a £9 sale from that. So like, even if you're not into selling or like whatever you do, it is something that can easily be done, where we just speak to people where they're at, and not where you're at. And you see it with, I don't know, you see it like, I don't know, like a lot of protests and stuff nowadays. Like everyone's clashing, but it's like people aren't listening to each other. And if you just listen to each other, it's so yeah, you just get your points across a lot better and just have normal conversations. So yeah, that was a really good example. And I always like to start with the positives where we can. So next up, we have the orders. Let's have a look how we're doing. So since speaking to you last, we had a bundle of 11 comics sell for £5, and then since then we've had a bundle of comics go for £5. The guy who bought the 2 bundles for £9. We had another bundle go of comics for £5, and this morning we just had another bundle of comics sell for £5, which is like really good news. And that's part of the reason why I do want to do action figures today, because it's Friday, bit of fun, like enjoy the action figures, and these action figures are definitely figures that I love. So I want to enjoy my Friday. So that's, but I am going to halve it and do comics, because like, yeah, strike while the iron's hot. People are interested in comics. Let's keep the shop like flowing with them as well. So what do we need to talk about next? Balance update. Let's get the biggie up. There we go. So last time we spoke, we were on £718.89. So that would have been like day 7, 14, 21, 20, day 36. So as of today, we have took like a pretty decent jump, to be fair. We're on £938.63. Not bad. So in a week, it's what, 220 quid for the old stuff that I've been stupid with and left in my unit doing nothing. Like, it, yeah, madness. Like, when you look at that, I am having to put work into this, so it's not like it's never free money. At some point I have paid money for this, and the other stuff in that bundle has probably put me into profit. However, there is still work being done. It's not like you can see, like, every day when I'm working on this, it's, yeah, not easy. So yeah, it's not just 900 quid for nothing, but still really positive, and the money's constantly being put in a separate part of my business account, so we can yeah, save up for a bigger unit come March, wherever and whatever that will be. Now let me show you what we're listing today. So as I said, we're still sticking with the comics. Just like do a bundle of 10. Might even try these at like £4.50, because it's the weekend. It is like really hot this weekend, and when it's hot, you do tend to find that less sales coming because people are out, they're doing other things, activities, experiences, that kind of stuff. So sales might be slow this weekend, but we'll get these on for £4.50, and hopefully we get a few bundles coming in. But let me show you the figures we're doing. So let's have a look. Now I've got like 10 in total, but across August on my eBay store, I've got so for the first 11 days, I'm listing just Rocky Balboa memorabilia, and that includes like Rocky gloves, Rocky posters, programs, figures, boxed and loose. But I've also got loads of, like, quite a lot of loose Rocky figures that are damaged, and by damaged I mean, so, like, that's a good example, and that's a good example. So we've got Ivan Drago, and in terms of like he's complete, he's not like missing any parts or anything, but the problem is when you shake it, I'll try and pick it up, there's like rattling, and for collectors it's something that collectors prefer not to have, because some collectors buy collectibles as investments, and so if you're buying a collectible as an investment, you probably want it boxed first. If it's boxed, mint condition, and then second is like loose. If it's loose, you still want it to be in like really good condition, because that's what separates it from, say, your likes of more common figures that are like broken. But if you do have a figure that's broken, collectors will still be happy to buy it, but they'll want it complete, and all these figures are complete. So rather than put these on the eBay, because I've got so many listings going, I'm going to try them on Vinted at like £30 each and just see what happens, because they are good figures. If I put them on for £30 on eBay, they go pretty quick, but I've got to then factor in a 10% discount and £3.45 postage. But by not doing it on eBay, I'm closing my reach, because it's just going to be available to collectors in the UK, which is a downfall. But I've got so many rocky figures that are going to be going on eBay, I'm not too worried about that. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm not going to jump back on just because, well, I will. I'll let you know how long it takes. Yeah, I'm going to get listing them and let you know how long it takes. It's 10 to 9 now, but I'm going to do like a post office run, out for a coffee after. So when I come back on, I will try and give you an estimate how long it's taken to do that. See you in a bit. Job's a good one. So we started the comics at 8:50. We finished them at 12 minutes past 9. So 25 minutes to get 10 listings on the comics at £4.50 each. Not bad. And then went to the post office, started the Rocky figures at 5 to 10 and got them finished at 12 minutes past 10. So again, 20 minutes, 10 figures. I was a little bit more specific on the description as to which joints like move loose, just because we don't want any comebacks, and we want the collectors to shop with confidence, because they could buy one figure, be really happy with it, and then that encourages them to come back and buy some more. So happy days. That's all for the Vinted today. I need to finish off a bunch of these wrestling figures. Got like probably, I don't know, 15 to 20 left, and then that's all 73 listings done and scheduled for August for the eBay. So that's happy days. And then we're getting ready for getting September's listings ready. Try and get ahead of the game, and it just makes life easier. So yeah, as always, if you've not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, see you in a bit.